And good evening, this is Bob W6CJX, and I'll be your net control operator for tonight's Papa Great Outdoor Net. This net meets every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Pacific. This is a directed net, so please go through net control at all times, and your cooperation is always greatly appreciated. Before we get started, let's pause for any emergency or priority traffic. Hearing nothing but crickets, we'll continue with the net. Stations with emergency or priority traffic can come into the net at any time with a double break, and net control will respond appropriately. The Papa system is an open membership-supported system in the Southern California area with coverage from the Mexican border to Paso Robles and from the Channel Islands to Las Vegas, Nevada. If you're a visitor to the Papa system tonight, I invite you to go to papasys.com, that's papasys.com, and register as a guest. With your guest registration, you'll have 45 days of free access to the Papa system. At the end of your one-time 45-day guest access period, we'd love for you to become a subscribed member, continue to use the Papa system on a daily basis, and be part of the Papa system family. However, all amateurs are welcome to participate in the daily, weekly, and monthly Papa system nets regardless of their membership status. Again, this is the Papa system Great Outdoor Net. Indeed it is. Good evening, everyone. W6CJX is Net Control here, and I have a voice. A voice to be heard. Anyway, at least I have a voice, and happy about that tonight. And let's see. Yeah, we got some storms coming. Hope everyone's having a great weekend. The end of a weekend. Perfect weather. Couldn't ask for better weather than what we had. At least down here in Camarillo, I think everyone pretty much did too. So we'll enjoy it, and hopefully we'll get some rain coming up where we need it and not where we don't need it, but we'll see. All right, before we get started, let's put on the announcements for this week coming up. Stand by.
Here are the Papa System weekly announcements for the week of October 13th. The Papa San Diego Luncheon. Papa will be meeting in person on Saturday, October 18th at 11 a.m. at Cocina del Charro in San Marcos. Cocina del Charro has arranged for a special buffet, $24, including tax and tip. We will need a minimum of 25 attendees for this price. Please purchase your buffet meal tickets via PayPal on the Papa website 1 week ahead of the luncheon. We will have ham license testing at the San Diego Luncheon at 9:45 a.m. Please pre-register on the Papa webpage or go to http://ham.studysessions.k6sml. For any questions regarding the test session, please contact Patrick, K6SML by email, papatesting@live.com. Quick Start Program. The Papa Quick Start program, in conjunction with all of our test sessions, is a benefit for newly licensed technician class ham radio operators. The program is designed to get newly licensed technicians on the air quickly and teach them how to communicate with fellow hams on the radio. You will receive a pre-programmed UHF handheld radio at no cost to you. The Papa system will assist with technical and operational issues and help you make your first radio contact. You are encouraged to join the new Hams Net, Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. with Steve, KI6LOV, and connect with fellow amateur radio operators. More information is available on the Papa website and at all of the test sessions. Papa HF Net. On the third Sunday morning of each month at 8 a.m., our host, David KO6BAF, will be calling for check-ins on 40 meters, at or about 7.210 MHz. If you are interested, click the link to add your name and call sign to David's Papa HF Net check-in list on the Papa website. Papa Simplex Exercise. Sunday mornings at 7 a.m. Please join Evo, KO6BKX, and the Simplex team. They will be on from 7 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. 2-meter FM analog on 146.535 MHz. All this information, and a whole lot more, can be found on the Papa website at papasys.com.
All right. Well, thank you for those great announcements. It just shows, or goes to show, that we do have a lot going on in the Papa system. and we just have one luncheon this week, which is good, down in San Diego. And then we also have the HF net, which comes around once a month. I was taught that. Someone corrected me on it, so it isn't every week. It's once a month on the third Sunday. That'll be this Sunday coming up. And, of course, every week on Sunday we have Evo and the Simplex team, there we go, out there, and having a hoot of a time. I heard him this morning, I was still in bed. W6CJX for the Papa System Great Outdoor Net. Before we get started and get into our topic for tonight, let's see. I'm going to call on our good friend Steve, KSXLOV, who I believe was on the trail this weekend, and sounds like he might have something for us. So I'll turn it over to you, Steve. KSXLOV, you have the microphone. Welcome.
Well, good evening, Bob, and everyone out here on the Great Outdoor Net. This is Steve, KI6LOV. Well, I was out at my cabin this weekend, and I had a Sawyer team, a couple of cabin owner friends of mine with great skills of cutting up trees, because I had a pretty large oak tree come falling down and barely missed my cabin. And, in fact, kind of did a grazing blow with one of the branches and didn't really cause any damage, but it was a huge mess. And so anyway, I had these guys out there cutting it all up, and they're really good. But what happened here is something interesting that I've just learned over the last few years. Back in September of 2020, the Bobcat fire swept through our canyon, a big Santa Anita Canyon, and went right past my cabin and my two neighbors' cabins. Down in the main part of the canyon, some cabins were lost, but the fire burned through and missed our cabins. It was mostly a ground fire. Some trees did crown out and burn up, but an interesting thing happened. Over the last few years, trees had started falling all throughout the forest that looked like perfectly healthy trees. And this is what I learned. The temperatures were so intense as the ground fire burned through, many of the root systems of certain trees were damaged to the point where they couldn't function properly anymore. And even though the tree that fell near my cabin looked like a perfectly healthy oak tree, what really happened was the roots were damaged and they became infested with fungus and rotted out, and then the tree just toppled over. So I never really thought that might happen. But anyway, there you are. That's a lesson to learn from Mother Nature. So anyway, Bob, that's it from me for now. And I'll check in later with something else. But everyone have a fine week. Batten down the hatches. Get ready for some rain. KI6LOV back to net control.
WD6OZA.
Well, thank you, Steve. And we've got Cecil there. He's got an announcement, for us. I was going to call for some announcements. So thanks, Steve. That's really great. And I think we learned something from that. I kind of didn't know that. That's pretty bad in a way, but cool in a way that we can figure those scientific things out. All right, let's hand it over to Cecil, see what he's got for us tonight. Good evening, my friend, and welcome to the Great Outdoors.
Good evening, Bob. WD6OZA. Just a quick report. We were not able to get the Suma restaurant for the fiesta this year, and RJ found a Mexican restaurant in Arcadia, and I went Saturday to the Lulu's breakfast and ran a quick survey saying that would they attend the fiesta. We had it in Arcadia, and about 80% of people that have attended said they would. So I felt pretty comfortable going there and checking out the restaurant. It looks really good. Has a capacity of about 100 people plus. I spent a lot of time trying to come up with a restaurant that didn't have outrageous prices and what have you. This was a Mexican restaurant. We actually started the Fiesta, the Placita in downtown L.A. So going back to a Mexican restaurant is going to be nice. I looked at the restaurant, the menu, the price is right. It's going to be $27 plus tip and taxes, and it's going to be held December the 14th, starting at 11, and we have to be out of there by 3 o'clock. And let's see, I think that's about it. We'll have all that posted on the website. And again, this year we will only be selling raffle tickets at the fiestas. So we will not sell any prior to them. That way, whoever attends, they have to buy the tickets there. That's it, Bob. And the fiesta in San Diego will be held on the third Saturday of December. The one in Arcadia will be Sunday, December the 14th. Back to Net Control, WD6MZA.
Wow, that's great news, Cecil. I kind of been hearing a little bit, copying the mail, and with RJ talking a little bit about it. So it sounds like a really, really great place. And yeah, why not? We've always had that question looming. Why are you guys having a fiesta at a Chinese restaurant? So we won't have to worry about that this year. It'll be at a Mexican restaurant, but that sounds awesome. I think it's good for a change. I mean, you can always go out for some Chinese food, get the same kind of food, or go to the sumo wrestling buffet. You got to wrestle over those chicken wings. Well, thank you, Cecil. Appreciate it, and great news, and good to hear you tonight. Any other announcements for the net tonight before we get started? W6CJX Net Control.
Well, one thing I forgot, they'll actually have mariachis available, so we'll get a little bit of entertainment during the time we're eating. So that'll be pretty neat, I think. Back to Net Control.
Yeah, that's definitely an added bonus for sure. Wow, that's cool. Well, that'll be great. Hopefully you know some Christmas tunes. Just kidding. Again, this is the Papa System Great Outdoor Net with Bob, W6CJX, and we're here every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Pacific. Okay, so tonight we got to hear from Steve, and thank you again, Steve, for that. It was great. We want to talk a little bit about and dig down deep and see if we can remember some stories about camping etiquette and maybe people that don't have camping etiquette.
Camping is about fresh air, late-night campfires, and the space to unwind. But for everyone to enjoy their stay, a little courtesy goes a long way. That's where camping etiquette comes in.
There's always that one person, that the people that come in late, you're already in bed, sleeping, maybe you're in a tent, maybe you're in a trailer, motorhome, and that person comes in with some big diesel pusher, and he's trying to park and making a bunch of noise, and they're setting up, and you're trying to get to sleep. But that's, I guess, part of camping. And then sometimes you have people that have a whole bunch of dogs, and they don't take a lot of control over them. I love dogs, but if they're running through your campsite and stealing your steak off your grill is not probably a cool thing. So stuff like that. That was just an example. So let's take a few check-ins, see who's out there tonight, and would love to hear any of your stories of the bad campers out in your life that you've experienced. Please contact Net Control.
KK6HNG.
KI6LOV.
D6LLB.
K4HD, in and out.
KO6JCA, Jeff.
November 6, Hotel Alpha Lima.
Whiskey Delta 8, Charlie, India Kilo.
Kilo 6,
KM6 AVH, RJ.
All right, I think I got everybody. And I didn't have any doubles or anything, so that was good. I think I'm going to take Steve first. No, not KI6LOV, WD8CIK. I haven't talked to him in a long time, and I know the reason, but just wanted to say hi and let him come into the net first for all the great work he's done for the Papa system over the years. Go ahead, Steve. Welcome. WD8CIK. Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Bob. Doing a great job as usual. Yeah, the voice is not quite there yet, but hopefully it's coming back. Yeah, long hiatus and missed all you guys, so that's about it. Nothing too great here. Been at work, back to work for like 2 months now, so that's good. And everything is being okay. Got one more appointment this week to see how things are progressing. So I got the OK for everywhere else. So there you go. But doing a great job with the net as usual. And it's something else that I forgot. Good memory, but short. Back over to net. WDCIK.
Well, thank you, Steve. Yeah, I just had a little procedure myself a week or so ago, and it was a little scary, but the outcome was good, so I'm good too. So you heal and mend and get your voice back, and everything will be great. And we do miss you so much here on the nets, and just hearing you giving us audio checks. We don't have a real good audio checker. Well, we do. We have Mike Ollie and a few others that are really good at hearing audio. So great, Steve. Good to hear you, and I'm glad you came in tonight. I appreciate that so much. All right, let's go back to the top, and we'll say hi to Adrian, KK6HNG. Good evening, Adrian. What you got for us tonight?
Hey, good evening, Bob, and everybody there on the net. This is Adrian, KK6HNG. So, talking about trail etiquette. Oh, well, I've seen the bad ones over the time again and again. Think of BLM garbaged places with very loud audios and dogs barking and people shouting and all the goodies. Or even last Saturday when I had a nice experience on a portion of the PC3, the Deep Creek area towards the hot springs. And kid you not, we could spot the springs half a mile away by the noise. People were loud and shouting around there. So that's that. On the other hand, well, I witnessed a lot of very well behaved, and as a big group, because, yeah, okay, a group is a group, so I say the majority part of it. Probably the true hikers of all kinds, the majority of them are generally super well behaved. I'm still hard pressed to see in the Sierras any of them that don't have the bear can. I'm hard pressed to see them making any noises and whatsoever, or leaving any garbage, pretty much nowhere to be found. So, yeah, that's in a nutshell what I have to say on the subject. Some people don't do the right thing. Hopefully more and more will, so that we can keep the nature as pristine as possible, even we are hiking more and more and trying to be in nature more and more as a population. Thank you, Bob, for doing the net. Back to net control, KK6HNG.
Well, very well said, Adrian. I think that's a great take on it, too, being that it's not just a campground, but you were witnessing and observing through hikers who are a different breed of nature hiking people. They have to really know what they're doing, especially going on a through hike that may take several weeks or months to complete. I've always been fascinated by that, just as I was with like Everest and everything, but of course I'm not going to do either of those. But we've got the Pacific Crest Trail and then of course the Appalachian Trail on the East Coast, which would be just wonderful. And I know you can do it in sections, but boy, how do you brag about doing like 3 sections of the Appalachian Trail? You can't really brag about that, but you can brag and say I went through the whole thing, right? going to bring that up on one of the future nets. Might be real soon, actually. I've been wanting to do something about through hiking. Not everyone's done it. Not everybody wants to do it, but you might talk on it a little bit and see what you have. Maybe you know someone that did or something like that. Thank you, Adrian. And let's say hello to Steve once again, KI6LOV. Good evening. How's your neighbors? I bet you got the best neighbors up there, but I'll let you tell us. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, good evening again, Bob, and everyone out here on the Great Outdoor Net. Well, this story has nothing to do with my cabin or the canyon, and it's from back in the early 90s. I was doing a lot of bicycle riding of all kinds, and myself and my best friend Scott would go out every year and drive our VW vans and caravan together out to Organ Pipe Cactus National Monument in southern Arizona and do mountain bike rides out there. And we normally would go at about the end of May or the beginning of June, right when it was getting really hot. And one of the reasons is there was nobody in the campground. And this is a campground that's kind of set up for snowbirds and Winnebagos and things like that. So we show up this one afternoon, and we go out there, and the campground is empty, and it's a beautiful campground of kind of a fan-shaped array of campsites and with concrete pads and all that. And so we find a place and that we liked, and we got two adjoining spots, and we pull in, and we're hanging out, and we're sitting there in the afternoon, and all of a sudden this big, bus, a big diesel bus comes in, and the campground is empty. Keep that in mind. And they tour around a little bit, and then they pull in right next to us. And so we looked at each other, and so before they had a chance to set the equalizing stabilizers and do all this stuff, we went over and knocked on the door, and it was a European couple, and they had rented this, and they'd been driving all around, and we explained to them that the whole campground was empty, and the reason we like to go there is to be alone and kind of hang out, and they really didn't understand. We finally made them realize there were good campsites everywhere, but in Europe, at the campsites they have, everybody pulls in a big line and just lines up and makes a big party of it, I guess. But I just thought that was kind of funny, that the whole campground was empty and they pulled in right next to us. So there you have it, Bob. KI6LOV, back to net control.
Okay, that's a good story. I kind of had one like that, only it was the other opposite way. I was up at Lake Casitas, and I was there all by myself. Literally, there might have been one or two up on the hill. This is on Mallard, so it's M13. And so someone comes in to M14 next to me, and it's two ladies with their daughters. And so I'm like, oh boy. I'm sitting there, already set up, having my good camp. Might have already been there a night. And I thought, there's this whole campsite, and they're parking literally next to me. This is kind of weird or stupid or whatever. Well, they were the coolest campers I've ever seen. They never really said two words to me, except hello. That's only one word. And the other thing is they knew what they were doing. Everyone had their job. Everyone put their little camp kitchen together. They got the tents up. I was envisioning, I might have to help them with the tent or something. Nope, they did everything themselves. The next thing I know, I looked over and they're all reading books. Now, is that a complete opposite? Kind of, I guess. We didn't know if the people from Germany or Europe were going to be loud or noisy. It's just we don't need you next to us. That's a good one, Steve. Thank you so much for sharing that. Logan, KD6LLB. Good evening, Logan. I bet you got a couple of good stories. Take it away.
Thanks, Bob. This is Logan, KD6LLB, coming in on RF to Papa 4 Saddle Peak. And, it's funny. We used to camp on the beach down in Baja at San Miguel. And there's just a different convention there. We would have a nice spot with a lot of room around us, and families would come and just set up their tent in their campground right next to us. I could reach out and pet their dog. I mean, they were friendly and they were nice, but usually if it were on a weekend, it would end up not mattering because they would get so crowded. I don't even know if there's any limit to how many people they would have parked there. So, yeah, I've definitely had some interesting experiences in campgrounds over the years, yeah, definitely some interesting ones. One of the most useful things I learned sometime when I was very young, I remember my buddy that I hung out with and camped with the most kind of telling me, I think he's the one who taught me, but when we would pull into a campground, kind of a camping on asphalt situation, or just, a car camping type campground, first thing we would do is walk around, say hi to everybody, just make friends, just make sure that when the arguments and fights and threats and knives and guns and all that came out, everybody knew that we were on their side and we were their friends, and we didn't have any stake in the conflict. And that actually turned out to be very helpful, because over the years I've had, I don't know how many situations where campers got into arguments because their music was the wrong type for the other. I don't know, you get competing stereos. Sespe Trailhead, I don't know if people remember it before. It actually had car camping before. This is the Piedra Blanca Trailhead. That was actually a car camping site. You can barely tell that there used to be an option, a road there, and car camping. And that was the Wild West, and there were fights and arguments, and I was always afraid to leave my truck there to go backpacking. So another really funny one, people used to come visit the campground at San Miguel in the middle of the night. Workers from Ensenada would come and just pull up chairs and sit around the campfire that was still glowing. And every now and then there would be arguments and fights. One night while I was in the tent, my girlfriend at the time, I remember she said something to me about there was something going on and it was a fight, and I thought, oh, that's awful, somebody should do something, and then I just passed out. And I got up in the morning and everybody was talking about what a traumatic experience there had been. Like, there had been just mayhem, and all the folding chairs had been thrown in the fire, and like people had actually gotten into fights, and I slept through all of it. And yeah, part of they stole our firewood, and my firewood was right by my head in the open tent, so the security wasn't very good at our camp. And yeah, anyway, the most important thing is just make sure everybody knows that you're not part of the fight, you're not part of the conflict, and usually works out. All right, back to you, Bob. Thanks for doing this. KD6LLB.
Well, thank you, Logan. Yeah, I figured there'd be some good stuff out there, some good stories from way back. And yeah, I guess, as people sit around the campfire and start talking, they start becoming friends, or they've been friends, and then after a few drinks or a few beers, whatever is going on, things are sitting to get a little out of control. So that was one of my things on the list, too drunk, because they start staggering over. Can I have a cigarette? Sorry, I don't smoke anymore, but have a great night. But it's kind of funny. Thank you, Logan. That was sounding good. I like those stories. Just keep them coming. All right, let's go to, we have an in and out for Kevin. Hey, Kevin. K4HD. He's probably getting ready to go to Betty Bye. And let's say hello to Jeff, KO6JCA. Good signal tonight, Jeff. You got it down, man. Welcome to the net.
Thanks, Bob. KO6JCA coming in on All-Star, and glad to hear you're feeling better, Bob. And many years ago, I went camping and had set up a tent and got all my gear in the tent and zipped it up and went for a hike, and I was gone, and then came back to my tent, and my tent wasn't there, and someone or some folks had picked up my tent, pulled out the tent stakes, and dragged it and put their tent up in the spot that I was in, and I never forgot because everything in my gear was all tumbled over, and the stakes were all strewn around, and I thought that was the height of being discourteous. Anyway, 730, back to net control, KO6JCA.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, you sounded great tonight, and got that dialed in. I think it was just probably the gain or something was a little too high. I noticed that was happening with Carolyn's signal too, but it was a different radio, so I'm thinking that's the radio I gave her that I was using, 878, not a regular one, so maybe we'll get that one figured out. But thank you for that, and can't imagine anyone coming in and taking your tent. Now, unless you were in the wrong spot, which didn't sound like you were, but that brings up a quick little, just one of my things on my list was leaving their campsite late. So I'm not assuming that's what you had there and that you didn't move, you weren't in the right spot. But sometimes when we go camping, it's a 12 o'clock checkout, and then I think it's 2 o'clock check-in. So we have no right to complain, but we've actually pulled in at like 12:30, quarter to 1, and there's someone still in our spot, and they're not even attempting to leave. I could see they're scrambling. Okay, they had late breakfast Sunday, afternoon or whatever, and they don't really want to go back home anyway. They want to stay there, but they're still sitting there drinking beer and got the campfire going, and they're not going anywhere. So that was one of our experiences where we had to kind of talk to the ranger because it was almost our time where we legally could check in, and they're still there. W6CJX for the Papa System Great Outdoor Net. All right, Jeff, let's say hello to Chief Hal, N6HAL. Good evening, Hal, and welcome to the Great Outdoors. Any experiences out there with people that are just not quite with the program?
November 6th, Hotel Alpha Lima. Thanks, Bob, and thanks for doing the net. And camping etiquette. I don't have a lot of stories. One thing I would like to say is that just be kind, courteous, and respectful to your other campers, and be that way yourself, so they will do the same. In my younger days, I probably stretched that a little bit with some loud campfire parties and a little bit too much drinking maybe, but as I got older and had kids, I learned that you got to respect campers, and if you want them to respect you, you got to respect them, and keep it quiet. Keep your dogs out of their campsite, and watch the mouth and the language when there's kids around. The only story I have bad etiquette was camping at the Colorado River in Parker, Arizona, or Parker, California, I guess it was. We had to park our motorhome one row back from the beach, and we had friends that were on the beach, and we'd all go down there and collect ourselves around their shade covers and sit on the beach so we could be close to the water. Well, one weekend I was doing that, and I went back to get another beer at my campsite, back at my trailer, or motorhome, I think it was at the time. And I walked up, and my nice, brand-new green Coleman metal ice chest was missing. Somebody had been watching us and saw that we had our beer in there, and I'm figuring probably some young kids that were there that didn't have any beer, and they saw that I had a whole ice chest full, and they just took the whole ice chest and all. I didn't mind losing the brand new ice chest, but I wanted a beer. That's all I have for bad etiquette. Bought a new ice chest. November 6th, Hotel Alpha Lima, back to the net.
Yeah, and I bet if they would have asked, you probably would have given them one or two just to say, hey, enjoy, but be, don't, as long as they're old enough, I don't know, maybe they might not have been too. Sounds like something we would have all probably done it one time in our lives, right? Steal an ice chest with a bunch of beer. And we used to steal our dad's beers. Everyone got into the refrigerator, and, when dad was away or whatever and working and friends would come over, it's like, let's go have a beer down in the basement and play drums. It was kind of a fun thing to do. All right. Thank you, Hal. Very good. Yeah, that's a good one. Just things happen. You just have to try to do the best you can. And I'm not really against music, having a good time. That's what it's all about. And usually when I hear people, even at my age now or whatever in state of life, if someone's having a really good time and they're not, shooting off guns or something like that around the campfire, go for it. Have a good time, have a good time. That's what it's all about, enjoying life. And then we'll just sit back and listen. Thanks, Hal. And let's say hello to Ellen, K6DV, Delta Victor. Come on for a landing.
Oh, I thought I doubled with RJ, and you picked him up. Well, golly, I got a story. Not an interaction so much, but as an experience. I ride and camp with my motorcycle, and I was heading north on back roads into Utah through Beaver, staying off the interstate, and went around Provo and decided to spend the night in Heber City. Now, you probably know that weather in the Colorado Rockies isn't coming in on cat feed. It comes in with a vengeance. And it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm in Heber City trying to figure out a campsite somewhere. And this storm comes through, and I tell you, the wind was, whoa. So I said, screw it. I said, forget it. I'm going over to this RV park. Now, I've got a nice app that tells me if a tent will fit, and they didn't have any tents. So I went to the gate, and I pressed the buzzer on this highfalutin place. I could see the motorhomes. They looked like high-rises parked out there in the field. And I and my little dog, Toto, were trying to get in, and I talked to the lady, and she said, I'm sorry, we don't allow tents. And I go, I'm in desperate straits here. There's no other campsites available within a range that I can reach before this storm comes down. Could you please break the rules for me? And she said, okay, but you'll have to pay full price. So I did, and it was pricey. And I went through the gate and got the codes for the bathroom and whatnot, and then I got my site. I am parked between massive motorhomes. And I set up my tent, and it blew away, literally. Before I could get anything in it to anchor it down, it went rolling down the drive-in section, and it got a hole torn in it, so it became my going to be a replace at the end of the season anyway. And that tent was rolling, the rain was coming down, and I was gathering everything together and getting it set up and got inside the tent and sat there shivering and thinking about those motorhomes and all the people who are so disconnected from the world they live in with too much money and lots of time and big wheels parked in these mini cities. And I was so grateful, still am, that when I camp, I get to have experiences that allow me to tell a tale like this. And I will continue to tent camp, and I've got some trips planned in the future with the motorcycle and Bessie, the dog, and off we will go. So that's my story. It's nothing bad happened, except to the tent, and a few things got wet. So it was a good time, though. I was soloing and heading up to go over to Virginia, and a great time was had. K6, Delta Victor, back to you, Bob. Great net, great topic.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
And a great story. A story of desperation there. If she would have said, no, sorry, there's no room at the inn, that's not cool. And still, it wasn't even cool to charge you full price. But, at that point, you probably didn't care. Just let's get this over with and get me a spot. But, wow, that's one tale, I'll tell you. You and your little dog, too. I love it. Oh, Bessie. Let's say hello to, thank you, Ellen. RJ, yeah, I did get RJ. There was a conclusion there, or collusion, or collision, or whatever you want to call it. And I picked you both out. So KM6 AVH, welcome to the Great Outdoors. W6EJ Tech Control.
Well, good evening, all. I got kind of a cute story. In 1997, I went on a bus camping tour to Australia. I was in a bus and campsites for 18 days, and it was a really good experience. Alcohol was not allowed in the campsite. Any type of soft drink is fine, but no alcohol was allowed. So we didn't have that problem. But we got into this one campsite. I don't remember where, but of course in Australia, kangaroos are pretty much everywhere. And so we got in the campsite and we were sitting around eating dinner. And the person that it was a man, woman. I don't know if they were husband and wife. They might have been, but he drove and took care of the bus, and she did all of the cooking. So we got a breakfast and a dinner, and lunch we were on our own. You know, we were told, just like any other situation, not to feed the animals. You know, the wild animals. And so, you know, nobody was doing that. So I'm sitting at the picnic table, and I feel this nudging against my butt. And I'm like, what is this? And I turn around, and it's a little wallaby. Now, I know most of you know what a wallaby is, but if you don't, a wallaby is a miniature kangaroo. They're a breed unto their own. And he was begging for food because he'd been down this road before. And I didn't know whether to pet him or shoo him away, but I shooed him away, and he reluctantly left. And so that was sort of interesting. But in the morning, we got up, and they didn't have bear-proof garbage cans, you know, like you see in most campsites nowadays. All the garbage cans were overturned. And the kangaroos and whatever other wildlife was around got into everything. And we were really surprised. And the driver or the guy says, "No, don't worry about it." He says it happens all the time. He says it's the park people come in afterwards and they clean up the mess and get rid of it, but it happens all the time. But so I had a bad actor that was very cute, a little wallaby. Okay, KM6AVH, back to net control.
I think that would be a hard one to deny. We have that out at the island with the island fox, and a lot of times they're full-size foxes, but every once in a while, my story was a baby fox came up, same type of thing, kind of nudged me, like I felt there was something under my feet. We were eating breakfast, and I think I was actually just eating a Mountain House skillet thing that had some scrambled eggs in it. So I accidentally, dropped a couple down. But this little guy was probably like a size of a large kitten. I mean, not a cat, just a kitten, and very small, and just these little eyes peering up at you, saying, "Excuse me, could I please have some of your scrambled egg?" So I accidentally spilled some. Shame on me. I've been paying for it ever since. W6CJX for the Papa System, Great Outdoor Net. We're talking etiquette, camping etiquette, trail etiquette. Just, we all know what to do. Pack it out, pack it in.
Pack it up, pack it in. Let me begin. I came to win, battle me, that's a sin.
Try to make it better than when you found it. And about the only way you could do that is maybe leave your firewood. I've had that happen a few times when you get there and like, oh, there's firewood. This is cool. All right. I'll keep mine in the truck and use that firewood. Burn it where you buy it. Buy it where you burn it. No, something like that. They don't want you bringing foreign wood in. All right, let's see who else is out there tonight. Please come now and contact Net Control.
Hello, Bob. N4WTN, Howard on Papa 1.
KC6ESW, Papa 1. KC6ESW, Papa 1. Foxtrot November, John.
KF4PQH, Ron.
Kilo Juliet 7, India Yankee Charlie, Mikey, Papa 29.
Kilo November 6, Mike Romeo Golf, Chris.
KO6DGX, Rick on All-Star. Maybe you caught me on the first round and I missed you, but I'll be listening.
I think we caught everybody that time. Let's see, who did we end up with? We've got M4 Whiskey Tango November. We got Mike, KC6ESW. We got Larry. We got K6PFN John, KF4PQH Ron, KJ6YJC, Mikey, KN6MRG, Chris, and we got Rick, KO6DGX. Let's go up to the top and say hello to, was it Harry? Howard, M4, WTN. I can't read my writing. I can't even write my reading. Go ahead, Howard.
Well, all right there, Bob. Thanks very much. N4WTN. It's been since we last spoke. I've been hanging out at my house in Tennessee, but I'm here in California for the next couple of months. And on the subject of camping etiquette, it kind of reminded me of lessons my father had taught me, and which I've passed down to my kids as well. And that is, if we were pulling into a campground after 9 p.m., it was time to be quiet, kind of get settled in with as little disturbance as possible. And campfires were more for telling stories of family, enjoying nature without a lot of noise. We weren't even allowed to start our dirt bikes until after breakfast in the morning, and certainly no boom boxes were allowed either. So this was a time for me as a kid, learning to connect with nature, enjoy peace and quiet, and get away from the noise of the city. And, those are lessons very valuable that certainly, as I mentioned, I've passed on to my kids, and we kind of live those same rules today. Anyway, I didn't have any stories of how others misbehaved, but I just thought I would share some of my family values. So back to net control from N4WTN.
Well, that's perfect, Howard. That's kind of giving it like, well, this is what it should be. And I think for the most part, most people are. It seems to be pretty much the norm. If you come in kind of late, you're, at least I would be. I'd be like, oh, sorry. We'll figure out what we're, but don't set up your whole camp for the week at 2:00 in the morning or something. Just park and level out if you have to, or whatever your camping thing is, and then get to sleep. But that doesn't always work. All right, thank you, Howard. Mike, KC6ESW. How about etiquette on a ship? How's that? You got some noisy neighbors or people that just don't quite know what etiquette means or how to spell it? I just learned how to spell it, actually. Go ahead, Mike.
W6CGX and then that KC6ESW. Good evening. Actually, that's funny you mentioned that. Our last cruise, our room was underneath the disco. No, underneath the piano bar. So we had to hear Neil Diamond every 4 hours for a request, but we got through it. And as far as camping, I camped when I was a kid in the Sierras a few times, and that was real nice, and people were very well behaved. Of course, that was the 70s, so you were either really, really out there or you were very, very reserved, and we got lucky. Hey, I do have a question. I have a story for you about Bob Heil. Can I tell you real fast?
Or real slow. Anything with Bob Heil, we'll take. It's his birthday. Is it today? Let's see. What is today anyway? 12th. No, I think it's, I don't know, but it's soon. He's a Libra with the rest of us. Go ahead, Mike.
We're there at Grand National every year, as well as other events, wrestling and shows, and a lot of concerts as well. I ran across some concert footage from 1973 at the Cow Palace with The Who, and this was the night that Keith Moon decided to take an elephant tranquilizer, and it knocked him out cold for the most part, and tried to revive him, but it wasn't working out. So they had part of the video they showed the crew trying to get him off the drum set because he was passed out. And one of the guys had a jacket on, and the jacket said Heil Sound. So I thought that was kind of cool. I wonder if Bob Heil was there that night, or maybe that was him, I don't know. But just thought I'd pass that on because, of course, those who know, Bob Heil did a lot of that back in the day as far as sounds for different artists. So The Who, part of it. So anyway, back to you, Bob, KC6ESW.
Yeah, he was a big part of that, of all music, really. Actually, they said, I watched a couple of those documentaries, and they're pretty good. I think he pretty much saved the Who on one of their tours because whoever it was couldn't supply their loudspeakers, and so Heil Sound came up with these great speakers that just blew everybody else away, maybe pun intended, and the rest is history. So yeah, if anybody is familiar with Bob Heil and his contribution to music and ham radio, especially, I think even ham radio is he did quite a bit for the music industry. Of course, Joe Walsh and Peter Frampton, and he perfected that voice box so that Peter Frampton could make that great sound, and also Joe Walsh. They're all really good friends. Okay, well, thanks, Mike. Thank you, Mike. That was good. I think that was good. Let's say hello to Larry. Give me your call sign one more time. I've jotted it down, but I can't even read it. So, Larry, welcome to the Great Outdoors.
And don't forget, Grateful Dead did too.
Right.
Okay, let's see if I have it. KE6MAE, Larry, here in Calabasa. Oh, good subject. And I have to respond to Ellen. If that was in the late 90s, early 2000s, I was probably one of those people at that big motorhome enjoying all the comforts of home with my satellite TV and a drink in my hand while you were sitting there freezing to death in your tent. Well, way back in the 60s, we did tent camp out of a Volkswagen, no less. And we were up in California, Northern California, Bernie Falls, and came in fairly late, pitched my tent. I had to leave the headlights on to be able to see to pitch it. I'm sure the neighbors didn't appreciate that, but it was only like 9 o'clock, something of that sort. But, hey, I'm sure it was annoying. But the next morning, my wife was trying to fix breakfast, and she was about 8 months pregnant at the time. This is back in 63. And I looked down, I say, Barbara, don't move. Whatever you do, don't move. And she listened to me. First time in her life, probably she listened to her husband. Well, down there on her leg was a skunk rubbing back and forth, just like a cat would. So eventually he got tired of rubbing against her leg and moved away. So we were good. I think once she realized what happened, she was petrified, and so was I. I didn't want to clean the wife up. That would have been a disaster. KE6MAE.
Oh, that's priceless. I don't want to clean the wife up. It's going to be a mess. I wouldn't want to clean anything up that gets sprayed by a skunk. We kind of covered that was a few months or weeks ago. I don't know. Everything goes by so fast. Something about it. Inside Out. I think that was that one. Now, what you said about the headlights, that was priceless too, because I just pictured the whole thing, coming into camp, and we don't have anything yet to set up to have lights, or maybe we don't have any lights. Well, you got headlights, and those are always shining in someone's window somewhere, or someone's tent maybe, and you see all these shadows out there, and you could just go on forever with that. Thank you, Larry, and I got you corrected. I knew it was MAE, and I couldn't think of the first part, and I didn't want to downgrade you or upgrade you, so I just figured I'd ask you. When in doubt, ask John, K6BFN. Welcome, John. How did the JOTA go this weekend? I was listening. I didn't listen a lot. I wasn't feeling well this weekend. I'm just getting over this cold, and I think I'm almost over it, so that's the good thing about it. John, welcome.
Good evening, Bob and Lynette. JOTA, good news, is a selling weekend. So it's this, Friday night to Sunday morning. So keep your radios on, and there'll be scouts, reaching out for the Jamboree on the air. And then for the topic, I love the topic. I tuned in late, but people are generally good, And sometimes with scouts, for example, we say out loud expectations, for them, but for hoping the campers around us hear it about, remember, lights out at X time, or whatever. Just to sort of remind everyone of what the parameters are of good behavior. But it's usually good and well behaved. But anyway, so Joda this coming weekend, and sending it back to you, Bob. Thanks for that. K6PFN.
I missed it by that much. Wow. I thought it was this weekend. No wonder I didn't hear any scouts on the air. What the heck was... I don't know. Well, I know we talked about it recently, but like I said, things have been a little cloudy the last few days, especially with all the NyQuil, DayQuil, and, I haven't had a cold in 10 years, so I had no clue how to even act with a cold. But, I don't know, changed some things, and there we go. Now I'm back to normal like everyone else, getting colds. Okay, well, we'll listen to this weekend, and I'll start announcing a little bit more and talk about it on the nets, and that way we can get a little more people with their ears on, get their ears on for this weekend. All right, John, thanks. Let's say hello to Ron, KF4PQH. He's probably got a couple stories here and there of, as you've out-camped us, that's for sure. Go ahead, Ron. Take it.
Greetings, Bob, and everybody out on the net. This is KF4PQH from Locust Grove, Virginia. Yeah, camping, vacationing, people called it. For when you're nomadic for 10 years, I like to think of it as we lived life on the road, and life is what happened while you were out there. And more good than not good. On a rare occasion, we had a couple incidents. I remember one time in a great campground near Beaufort, Georgia, on Lake Lanier, and it had been a Corps of Engineers campground at one time, taken over by a private entity. And somebody decided they were going to play music on the other side of the lake till about 4 o'clock in the morning. And I tried calling every phone number I had, and it stopped for a minute, and then it'd come back on, and I don't know what was going on over there, but it was crazy. But overall, the best parts of being out there was the people we met, the people we saw, and it was good. One of the biggies, or something that's been going on recently, there are a lot of folks who travel around a lot, and maybe while you're traveling, decide to go stop in a Walmart parking lot at night, and that used to be real good. And a couple other places, outdoor places and other places that offer the opportunity to do that. But there are some etiquettes to remember. Theoretically, you ought to just get in there, pull in. You might put your leveling jacks down just to stabilize things a little bit if you want to. Might put a slide out so you get to bed, but that's the kind of etiquette you should be using. Unfortunately, there have been some people who decide to pull in there, and they'll stay for 3 or 4 or 5 days, and they'll set up their barbecue grill, and they'll set up their lawn chairs, and so that's made it a little tougher sometimes. Some communities have established rules about parking in parking lots overnight. Kind of is misuse of the overnight opportunity when you need to use it. But over 10 years, it was rare. We had little incidents here and there once in a while, and as everybody does, I do find that things are a lot more RV-friendly and camping-friendly out west than they are on the East Coast. Rates are a little less, too, in most places, and lots of opportunities for some free stuff. Something I did mention I just want to share is 2 organizations, Harvest Hosts and Boondoggers Welcome, and they're now part of the Escapees organization. Our Escapees is part of Harvest Hosts. But Harvest Hosts especially is an opportunity if you're traveling to stay one night, sometimes multiple nights, depending on the place. It's a minimal annual membership, and you stay in wineries and golf courses and some beautiful spots. So something to look at for you folks out there if you're going to do some RVing, travel trailer traveling. But stay safe, be careful, and this is KF4PQH73, everybody.
Yeah, some good advice there, Ron. And I know, what is it, Cracker Barrel? I think they're cracking down on, why is there always that pun? They're cracking down on having people stay there. And but I've heard some really good things where people have stayed in a Cracker Barrel parking lot overnight and maybe connected with the manager and hopefully went in and maybe had dinner, there and spent a little money while they're letting you park. That they actually came out in the morning and brought them biscuits, which they make really good biscuits, and coffee to them out to their motorhome. And it might have even been a cinnamon roll or something. But it was one of the YouTube videos I think that I was watching, and I thought that was pretty neat. If you at least touch base, kind of like with what Logan was saying, touch base with the people around you, and you never know, you might need their help, and just introduce yourself and just say, I'll be over here if you need me. And W6CJX for the Papa System Great Outdoor Net. Thank you, Ron. As always, love hearing from you guys. Say hello to Dee. And let's go to Mikey, KJ6. I think it's Yankee Juliet Charlie, but correct me if I'm wrong, and welcome to the Great Outdoors.
Hey, this is Mikey. Kilo Juliet 7, India, Yankee Charlie. It sounds like we're talking about camping etiquette. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I got that corrected, too. Yeah, it was a 7. How did I... Well, I'm just so used to putting 6s. Go ahead, Mikey.
So if we're talking about camping etiquette, I grew up in Hawaii. So a lot of the etiquette that I was taught was we always camped on the beach. So anytime we camped, it was always instilled to us that we have to go spearfishing to get our food, and we never take more than what the family needs to eat for that night. Leave some for everybody else to eat and nourish themselves. So it's just a little story I got.
Sounds like a good tradition. Yeah, I like that. Well, that's the kind of a Native American and just Native type thing anyway. It's just you don't take more than you need and don't waste anything, of course. So it kind of passes that on down through all the different families.
Question?
Yep. Hold on a second, and I'll turn it over to a question. But that definitely sounds like a good time, being able to go spearfishing your own food, and that's pretty cool. Well, thanks for sharing that with us, Mikey. And question on Papa One, go ahead.
KC6ESW, thanks, Bob. Question for Mikey. I'm just curious what beaches you camped on as a kid, and is that still allowed, and do you have your permission to do that, or how does that all work? Is it first come, first serve, is reservations? How did that work out?
Go ahead, Mikey.
Yeah, this is Mikey, KJ7 IYC. We camped a lot on the north shore of the island of Oahu. So more towards the Haleiwa, Wailua area. In some areas you do need permits. In other areas it was just known that people would come out here and camp. People that lived near the beach would actually camp right off of their backyard. So it was real nice. But my grandma also ran a fishing tournament for a little bit, so we camped a lot during those times and watched the fishermen bring stuff in.
Well, very good. Mike, do you have any follow-up?
That answers it, for sure. I wish I was in Hawaii right now, for sure. I'll get back to you, Bob. Thanks for that. Mikey, thank you, too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all wish we were in Hawaii right now. Well, we might be, although this isn't a hurricane coming. This is something from the north. It's coming from the north. I don't know what that means. It's going to be cold and windy, and they even have a tornado warning for Oxnard. Oh, boy. Who would have thought Oxnard would be Tornado Alley all of a sudden, but we've had a couple of them. I think it's because of that Oxnard Plains. I don't know. We'll see, but we will find out together. So thank you, Mikey, both Mikes, Mike and Mikey. Thank you for taking us to the islands for a couple of minutes there. I felt the trade breezes. It was nice. I enjoy that too. Chris, KN6MRG. What's going on, Chris? Let us know what your camping etiquette stories are all about, if you got one, and take it away.
Thank you, Bob, for the net. Always enjoyable. This is Kilo November 6, Mike Romeo Golf. One of the things, minimalist camping, so with climbing and motorcycles and whatnot, I was just usually yellow post or like out in the middle of nowhere, BLM land, whatnot. You just pick up trash. So I always carry a trash bag or other like extra space that I can just clean up stuff, and leave it better than you found it. That's my etiquette, and yeah, just leave no trace, as much as you can. And I've found some great campsites where people have done like building a little hot spring or this or that, and yeah, it's been fun traveling around. So thank you again for the net. KN6MRG. Back to net.
Well, thank you, Chris, for being a regular. We really appreciate it. You know, you've got a lot of experience out there camping, and I think you said climbing too. So it was always something we're talking. I've got a few climbers and ex-climbers. Is there such a thing, an ex-climber? I don't know. I don't climb anymore, but I sure did enjoy it, especially growing up in Idaho. You can't quite get away with not climbing that rock once in a while, even just a little bit. I didn't do too much, but I did a little, enough to scare me half to death. And this person that's coming up has had a really good experience. Well, I don't know if it was good. He's told that tale once before, and that was kind of scary on Taquits. I like calling it Lily Rock. What you got for tonight, Rick? KO6DGX Solvang, or Santa Ynez. Welcome.
Hey, thank you so much, my friend. And yeah, you know, all these years later, when I think of that one particular day, man, my palms start to sweat. It might be 3 days before I stop waking up with my heart beating. But man, yeah, like it was crazy. You know, so I free soloed, you know, a face that was about 700 feet and got lost at 500 feet off the deck. So man, oh, Bob, by the way, I've got on my QRZ page a photograph from right around the corner of that route I'm talking about, and it's called the Vampire, and so I'm doing trad climbing, leading the Vampire. So if you want to look at that old 1980s, you know, era of rock climbing up there, I posted a picture up there. But yeah, man, I'm starting to get nervous just thinking about that day, man. But over all, Bob, the bad day that we had out there for all you guys was when we set up a campfire in the campground of you know, right there in downtown Idlewild, but we set up a big huge pile of wood, and then we lit it off, and then we fell asleep because we were so tired from, you know, our day of rock climbing. And fortunately, these people came from around the campground and say, like, my God, you're going to burn the place down. And so they woke us up. We saved Idlewild, but yeah, golden memories. And some of the rudest people I ever met in a campground were ones that came into an empty campground and then set up right next to you. It's like you got the whole place. But there you have it. Some people are the way they are. KO6DGX.
Yeah, that kind of seems to be a consensus tonight with, you know, having an empty campsite and then having someone. I mean, unless the campsite next to you is as good as your campsite, I can't see. And then the other thing could be that's where they put you, you know, at the front gate, or maybe you didn't have a reservation, so they just gave that to you, figuring, well, there's already somebody. They kind of do that in hotels, if you've ever noticed. It seems like they always put somebody upstairs directly from you. There's no one at the hotel. I've been to these like Hampton Inns and stuff for work, and just like nobody's at this place. It's just, you know, just wrong time of the year, just wrong time of the week, whatever. And man, there's like somebody right above me dropping bowling balls all night long. I know it doesn't have anything to do with camping, but it is etiquette. And I have no idea what they're doing up there, but all night long, just doing stuff. And I'm like, well, why did they put me or put us together underneath each other when they got all these other spaces? So real quick, when you were talking, I reached behind me, and on my bookshelf here, I've got The Climber's Guide to Taquats and Suicide Rocks by Chuck Willits. It's an orange book. I've had this thing since 1973, and that is the 5th edition, nothing to do with the music group. But in 1973, Chuck Willits actually put this out. He talks about Royal Robins in here, and he also there's also a whole thing on the history, but it is The Climber's Guide to Taquats. So there's an introduction there, and then there's the history of Taquats Rock. So in the Sierra Club. So I got to kind of review this again now that I just found it and pulled it and dusted it off, but I'd love to show that to you someday if I ever get a chance. W6CJX for the Papa System, great outdoor net here on Sunday evenings at 8 p.m. Pacific. Let me play something real quick, and let's see, and then we'll take a couple more check-ins and a last call, so stand by.
This is Derek with a net announcement for the Papa Great Outdoor Net. On the Papa System homepage, just drop down to the YouTube tab, and you can check out the latest outdoor net archive on the Papa System. You can like and subscribe so you don't miss out on the latest. This is a non-for-profit podcast.
That's true. Non-for-profit. It's all amateur radio. Not making money here. At least we pretend we are. And Social Security. But yeah, if you have friends, family, we've got Aunt Betty and, I don't know, back in Iowa. And you've told her many times that you love ham radio, and they've got these great nets here on the Papa System. And this is me on the net. So go there on, this one will be there tomorrow. Publish it usually in the afternoon by about 2 o'clock. That's the schedule that I have anyway. But they're all there. I think there's 65 of them now. So we've had quite a few. So like I said, it's not for profit, so I'm not doing anything with that, but just wanted to make that as a service to the Papa System so that if people want to hear a net or want to hear one of the nets or want to go back and listen to one, they can do that. All right, I'll get off my hi-hat. Let's take my hi-hat. See, I'm a drummer. W6CJX for the Papa System Great Outdoor Net. Let's see who else is out there tonight. Last call for the Papa System Great Outdoor Net.
KD6 LLB recheck. Foxtrot Golf Whiskey.
Kilo Oscar 6, Kilo Papa Zulu, Andy. Check, in and out, clear.
So we got Logan. We got Steve, FGW, and Andy. So that means we're not going to get to hear the third-party traffic from Rose tonight. It's kind of a disappointment, but I guess we'll deal with it. All right, well, we're going to go with those last two, and we'll right on time. Look at that. You guys are good. KD6 LLB for a recheck. If it's a short one, go ahead, and then I'll pick up Steve, who hasn't been on yet. But go ahead, Logan.
Go ahead and take Steve if you, I think that's a better idea. KD6 LLB.
All righty then. I'll fix it in post. You'll never know what happened. Steve, W-A-W, I'm just giving you other Steve's call sign, WD8CIK. It was so good to hear him tonight. Oh, my heart just feels so good from listening and hearing Steve there tonight. WA6FGW.
Alrighty, good evening to you, Bob and the net. This is WA6 Foxtrot Golf Whiskey. And basically it's an in and out, but I did want to make a quick comment. Someone had mentioned about getting to know your neighbors a little bit when you go into a campsite. And we had a backpacking scenario where not only did our main stove decide to go wonky on us, the backup stove also did. So we ended up borrowing a stove from our neighbors, and in talking with them, they discovered that we still had another 3 days of travel, and they were heading back out. So they said, "Well, if you want to, go ahead. We'll let you take the stove with you, and just mail it back when you get back to the city." So we did that and saved, how would you say, an adventure that wouldn't be complete without being able to cook food and all that stuff. So it's pretty rare that we had a stove failure, but and to have two of them in the same trip was something else. Anyway, thanks for doing the net, and keep up the good work. WA6FGW.
Well, that's like perfect camping etiquette or trail etiquette for sure. I mean, having them be able to loan you the stove. And, if you're taking off and leaving, that would be the right thing to do. And depending on the price of the stove, I guess I would have maybe just said keep it. But it was nice that you guys could mail it to them. And a lot of that does happen on like with the Yosemite area and the John Muir Trail. They're mailing, as you know, probably, Steve, the mailing stuff to different points where they can pick up supplies and stuff like that. Okay, let's go to Logan for our final for tonight. And I do appreciate everyone checking in tonight. It's been a great net. And a good topic. I think it worked out pretty good. Logan, KD6 LLB.
Yes, Thank you. It's Logan, KD6LLB returning. And yeah, great net. I really like hearing all the stories. It always reminds me, these nets always remind me of things that I probably wouldn't have thought of if they hadn't sort of jogged my memory, or just, things that I haven't experienced that are just interesting. So, and it's good to hear you, Steve. So this is kind of in the category of etiquette, sort of, paying attention and figuring out how things work in a given camping situation. So when we used to mountain bike in Moab, we would camp, and near where we camped, there was a spring that somebody had drilled into the rock where the spring water was coming out, and they'd put a little, not a spigot even, I don't know if it's a spigot, it's just a pipe. It's like 1 inch in diameter or maybe more, just a standard issue lead pipe with thread on it, if I remember right, and very cold spring water would come out, and everybody got their drinking water there. And after biking all day in 100 degrees or more, people often, jumped in, rinsed off, or even lathered up and used some soap. And, it was completely dark out. I don't think, I don't know. None of the people that I rode with bothered to bring any kind of swim trunks or anything. So we would just take turns and lather up and rinse off and put our clean clothes on. And anybody who drove up just sort of, everybody picked up on the fact that, you don't want to shine lights on people at the place where they're gathering water. So there might be a few headlamps around. So one night it was my turn to take a shower, and I lathered up and jumped in. And it's freezing water, so you try to get this over with really quickly. And while I was trying to get the soap out of my eyes, a car pulled up, bright lights just glaring. Even with my eyes tightly clenched, and I could tell that it was just illuminated. And this woman got out of the car and started yelling about the naked guy. And my friends tried to explain that if you don't want to see the naked guy, you could turn your lights off. Anyway, she was not... Anyway, I just continued. I had to get the soap out of my eyes. I just continued, and she drove off in a huff. And anyway, so remember, just kind of pick up on what people are doing, and it probably won't be so bad. All right, great net, Bob. Great to hear everybody. KD6LLB. Back to you, Bob.
Wow, that's pretty amazing with the lady there. I guess, she's driving around and all of a sudden sees a guy, which, maybe is, all right, I'll just leave it at that. But that's what happens, when you go camping, you go backpacking, you don't have a portable shower usually and things like that. You could, but especially backpacking, you just take care of business in the lake. Go and take a dip and do what you got to do and get cleaned up, because after a few days on the trail, and we all know what that smells like. With that, I was going to go ahead and say I want to thank everyone for checking in tonight and being a part of the net. Good topic, good stories from the topic. I think that was really fun, and kind of reminiscing on things that kind of went wrong during camping or something. But, we'll figure it out. We'll figure a new topic for next week. Got a couple in the queue. And with that, I want to thank the Papa System for letting us have all the different nets we have each night of the week. And thank Cecil and the legendary leadership and the tech team. And we've got a new location for the Papa Fiesta Norte. So look at that. So we're going to, maybe it was be more East Day, because it's not so much, it's north. I guess it's the north. Still the north, either way you look at it. I'll put it that way. And other than that, we'll see what happens, and we'll be here next week. So until then, have a great week ahead. We start our week here on Sunday night, so that we don't have to look at Monday as a real Monday. It's a soft Monday. W6CJX will be closed in 20 in the net. I can't even talk tonight. At 21:34 and 7-3 to all.